And so we'll tell you more about that deck in a minute. His opponent, Brent Cohen, also has an awesome deck. He's playing a mud deck. He's playing a Metalworker Lightning Greaves mud deck, and I haven't seen one of these since, well, it's been a long time since I've seen a mud deck in contention.
Right, so both these players are undefeated, actually. So what they were remaining of our 8 undefeated players.
Yeah, wow, Brent Cohen, 4 Trinisphere, 4 Chalice of the Void, 4 Grim Monolith.
4 Trinisphere in the main.
In the main, yeah.
So it's our turn 1, Cohen on the play, Ancient Tomb, 18. It's going to make a Grim Monolith, all right.
And this is exactly the start he wants.
This is terrifying. You have to worry as your opponent he's going to drop a Trinisphere and you're going to lose.
And wow, Josh Hendricks, interesting, he's bluffing the Force of Will here.
He does have a Chrome Mox, okay, tap, and Grim Monolith, mana floating.
So 4 mana,
4 mana.
Turn 1,
Lodestone Golem.
and the jig's gonna be up when he doesn't force it.
Whoa! Alright, well, cool. Lodestone Golem, 5/3, all non-artifact spells cost 1 more.
Yeah, on turn 1, on the play, not too bad.
No, that's fine. Cohen, only 3 cards left in his hand, but
yeah.
2 cards left? He may... 3, I think.
Should be 3 cards, yeah.
I think
Josh Hendricks, though, has a Chrome Mox, so he can pay 1, make a Chrome Mox, and then set up for a big turn 2.
He can just swords it. If he has a Chrome Mox and swords, he can just swords it.
Yeah, that's true too. I can just swords it on turn 1.
Yeah, it might. I mean, it too will cost him. Unfortunately, it took Cohen 4 cards to make Lodestone Golem. It might take Hendricks 4 cards to get rid of Lodestone Golem.
Yeah, that's true too. He might have to gang block it. Now, unfortunately for Cohen, Lodestone Golem is probably the worst of the threats he could have dropped there. He would way rather have had something like a Kuldotha Forge Master on turn 2, something like a Metalworker or a Worm Coil.
Oh yeah, Forge Master would be pretty sweet here. So all right, 5. Hendricks down to 14. Grim Monoliths, not untapping anytime soon. They really were just used as rituals.
Oh wow, and here's a post-combat Lightning Greaves. And that'll equip,
and, you know,
wow.
There's a big mistake here. Hendricks had a Chrome Mox and could have represented the ability. He could have passed the Lodestone Golem, or Swords it, but now kind of made to look foolish here. He can't answer that anymore. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure Hendricks misread the Golem, thought it made all spells cost 1 more, not just non-artifacts.
Okay, so you didn't realize he could make the Chrome Mox there.
I think that's what it is.
Now he's in trouble.
Yeah, now he's in big trouble. We'll see if he tries to pay 1 for a Chrome Mox.
At that point, you probably don't want to do that. Yeah, I mean, he's got to find a way to deal with...
This is looking ugly for Josh Hendricks. Brent Cohen, awesome draw here. You can see him just leaning back, content with his board position.
Yeah, Cohen's
like, all right, I'm all in.
Right, reminiscent of the vintage deck. Obviously not as broken, but not totally fair either.
Right.
Remember, Mud, one of the cornerstones of vintage. For those of you who play vintage, you know, well, not one of the cornerstones. It's one of the 2 blatantly unfair decks, Dredge and Mud. In Vintage, it tries to never let your opponent play any spell at any point. So Hendricks, realizing he can make the Chrome Mox, I think what he's planning to do is turn 2 just swords the Lodestone Golem off a land. I think he was just, you know, he didn't want to pitch the Chrome Mox, but now, you know, obviously in a very awkward situation, Lightning Greaves making him look pretty foolish. Right. So
Stoneforge for Josh Hendricks. He's going to try and crawl back in this game. He'll go get a Battle Skull.
And, you know, and that's fair. Like, actually... yeah, he pitched away the even Mind Sensor to Chrome Mox. To be fair, just a 5/3, Lodestone Golem is eminently answerable. Cohen may not have any more plays, but if he has no more plays, what we'll see happen is he will likely start untapping his Grim Monoliths for another explosive turn.
Right. Now, he can't really drop anything on 4 mana, not anything that's going to threaten that Stoneforge Mystic.
Lodestone Golem puts Hendricks to 9.
The turn after, though, he'll be able to cast any 7-drop in his deck, which is any spell in his deck. Spine of Ishsak, Karn Liberated, Mere Battle Sphere, even something simple as a Kuldotha or a Worm Coil Engine will be good enough.
Yeah, so Stoneforge Mystic here, Hendricks is going to just represent Batterskull. Should be fine. Hendricks may even be able to path the... no, sorry, he can't path anything.
He'll be able to path something like a Battle Sphere if a Battle Sphere enters the battlefield next turn.
So yeah, he has to worry about that. All right, so in the Thought Seize is 2 lands. So Cohen with nothing. Cohen not playing any Goblin Welders in the deck.
Yep, and Josh Hendricks tries to take a land, but nope, Thoughtseize is non-land.
The lands are just there because of Mox Opal. Metalworker and Mox. So Metalworker, Mox Opal, Kuldotha Forge Master. So yep, he's going to untap a Monolith, and he's drawn...
I can't quite tell. Looks like a spell though. That
It's like a
that might be
Spinovish.
yeah,
I think it's a Spinovish saw.
I think so too.
Taking 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, it's
Oh,
worm coil engine.
wow. So that's very powerful. Brent Cohen now has to choose between swordsing this worm coil and getting the batter skull into play.
All right, so he's going to attempt to equip the lightning greaves to worm coil engine. You know, that obviously can't happen.
Right, he has Josh has to swords this.
No, and Josh should still be fine here. You know, he can swords the worm coil. I don't see this being too much of a problem. He'll still have the batter skull the turn when he needs it.
Right.
I mean, this is going to be scary for him, yes, but I think it's fine. Swords the plowshares on worm coil. Cohen will go up to 22. Remember, Cohen also used his monolith, which does matter. You know, it's like a fair amount of tempo. Back when his monoliths are tapped again. So Hendricks will drop to 4.
On 4 life, Brent Cohen will have to spend his entire next turn untapping a monolith if he wants to play anything better than a Lodestone Golem or a Koldath the Forge Master next turn. So he is at the mercy of the top of his deck, but he's gotten his opponent to 4. The lands, though, they haven't stopped coming for Josh Hendricks, and he's just going to abuse the broken Stoneforge Mystic to kind of get around that Lodestone Golem.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and even so, the thing is that the Lodestone Golem, a turn 1, 5/3, without a follow-up, like the Mud strategy, at least as it works in Vintage, Lodestone Golem is not as backbreaking to play as one might think it is, because you, it's only really broken when the next turn you maybe like make another Lodestone Golem, and that's when it suddenly life starts becoming miserable.
Right. So Hendricks will settle on GT Pass. End of turn, of course, he'll vial in the batter skull. He'll Stoneforge in the batter skull.
Yep, and then the batter skull will link up with the GT, and presumably he wants to read batter skull. He just asks to read it, seeing it in his hand.
Yep. And Josh Hendricks not going to make Brent call for the Oracle ruling. He'll just show it to him.
Like, can I get the Oracle ruling on? Here's the card. Okay, thanks.
So now Brent doesn't really have a good attack. He can't do much here. He just has to ship.
Pass the turn. Batter skull will be made. Batter skull will pick up GT, and suddenly Hendricks, despite being only at 2 life, is very in the game.
Yeah, 2 life as good as 20 against the Mud deck. Mud deck has no reach, no Triskelion in it, no Moonglove extracts present.
All right, so batter skull here. Yep. You know, really the best friend of Stoneforge Mystic ever since its printing. Well, until Stoneforge got banned for a while.
Right.
Yeah. Batter skull linking up with Umezawa's GT, now a giant life gain machine gonna swing in.
That pesky germ.
Yeah, it looks like it's another land.
It looks like a great furnace.
Yeah, 2 great furnaces and a Darksteel Citadel appear to be his lands. Cohen not making any of his lands. He didn't really want to get rid of his City of Traders. Maybe he should have started getting rid of his City of Traders.
Yeah, maybe get up past that 4 mana mark from his lands.
Yeah, once he has 3 of them, it's hard to say. Yep, and he will make the block, but you know, this kind of looks like Cohen has a start which was good for 18 damage, but probably just not good for 20.
Right.
Germ dies, and GT now has 2 counters. Hendricks will move up to 6 life.
Yeah, I mean,
without a threat.
Against most anything but Stoneforge Mystic, Brent Cohen would have been in like way ahead, but the Stoneforge just is far too powerful. Fetches up the batter skull.
So what Cohen's going to try to do is make his way toward a spell like maybe Lightsteel Colossus. He has one of Lightsteel Colossus. Now, you know, Mere Battlesphere I don't think is good enough anymore at this point. GT can kill enough of the Mirror, yeah, that wouldn't matter. Hendricks wisely gets rid of the Lightning Greaves. He doesn't want any surprise monsters just coming out with haste and killing him.
Right.
And Trinisphere drawn by Brent Cohen. Yeah, the slump, you can tell he knows that he didn't get there. He was close, but fell too short.
Not the draw he needed. He needs a Koldath Forge Master ASAP so he can get out of Blightsteel Colossus. Unfortunately for him, the Greaves is gone.
Yeah, there's no way to give it haste. But there's no O-ring left in Hendricks' hand. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, Cohen's on a much shorter clock than it may look like.
Right. Untapping the Monolith end of turn, he can cast almost any spell in his deck now. I think anything but the Blightsteel. Yeah, and the Lodestone Golem not going to do a lot here. Yeah, now He definitely should have started playing lands. He could be up to 5 mana from his lands right now. He's almost out of this game. Trying to decide if he has any shot, how best to crawl back in.
That's my he's like, go. I don't think, not too much. Not too much he can do to pull back in here.
No, definitely not. One white mana here. He'll move the GT.
Alright, so that's going to move. That now represents 9 power for. He could push up to 9 power. Yeah, no more plays. It's probably fine. There's not really a draw that Cohen has.
No, I guess Mere Battlesphere would be the
once.
closest one.
Yeah, but pump once, deal 7. It sounds like. So that those will move to 18 and 4.
I think I would have pumped the one more time just to make sure that the Ancient Tomb can't be tapped.
Yeah, I mean that's probably true. It's splitting hairs at this point. I don't believe there's a live draw in Cohen's deck. But then we see Deathrite Shaman from Josh Hendricks. Now remember, he does have, in addition to having Chromo Mox, he does play 1 Bayou that he can fetch for in the instance that he needs to get rid of creatures from graveyards. Typically, we'll probably not see him getting rid of creatures. We'll see him getting rid of spells. The burn effect is the preferred one.
If he's playing against something like Dredge or Goblins, then he might get rid of the creatures, but not in this matchup. So Brent Cohen goes to his sideboard, looking for some answers there. Not the kind of deck he wanted to play against. Probably a very bad matchup for him. His opponent's discard.
Well,
he has Oblivion Rings. He has Stoneforge.
The bigger thing is, it sounds like, especially these 4 Swords to Plowshares are a little bit troublesome for Brent Cohen. I mean, he obviously would have wished that his first play of the game was a Trinosphere instead of something else. That would have been ideal. But there are some cards in Hendricks, so let's look at their sideboards a little bit. In Hendricks' deck, there are some cards that don't really carry their weight. He has 4 Lingering Souls in the deck, and that to me doesn't really seem to do much. 1/1s, I don't care about in this matchup. The other cards all seem pretty fine, maybe with the exception of Aven Mind Sensor. Well, Mind Sensor's actually okay. There's a decent amount of, there's Cobalt of Forge Masters in the deck. That's the only real search that Brent Cohen has. So, take it or leave it on those cards, I would say.
Yeah, it really more just depends what he has to bring in, I'd say.
Right, so, what Josh Hendricks has to bring in is he has Pithing Needle, which is probably a fine card here. He has actually 13 different cards in his sideboard, so, kind of...
and 1 Enlightened Tutor to tie it all together.
Right, so the Enlightened Tutor can get Rest in Peace, Relic of Progenitus, Sword of Feast and Famine, and Sword of War Peace. I'm not sure any of those are particularly strong here.
Not really. Pithing Needle probably the strongest, so, Brent Cohen does do something like drop a Koldatha Forge Master and look like he's going to go off with it.
Right, on the play, I would say an Inquisition of Kozilek wouldn't be the worst card to side in an additional one. On the draw, I really don't like it, though. There's too many cards in Cohen's deck that just actually cost too much for me to actually want that card.
Yeah, the Inquisition's nice because it can take sort of the lubricant to Brent Cohen's deck, like the Metalworker or the Grim Monolith, but once those are already in play, it's not that exciting.
Right, so outside of Pithing Needle, I don't really see too many cards in Hendricks' deck. Maybe the Enlightened Tutors that he can get Pithing Needle on top of getting a piece of equipment. I wouldn't mind that play. That's all I really like here. You could, if he really thinks that some of his cards are just dead, say the Lingering Souls, he could board in Relic of Progenitus just for its cycling ability.
Yeah, that wouldn't be so bad. Maybe something like Rest in Peace, maybe thinking Brent could be on like a Goblin Welder type plan. It would probably be better than Aven Mind Sensor.
Yeah, I mean, you have to worry, like, the problem with Rest in Peace is that it's not a card, it doesn't actually do something. I mean, if it was Ground Seal, something that drew a card, well, maybe, except that I think is actually dead.
It removes to Chromo Mox.
Sure, that's an argument. Right.
It puts back with Brainstorm.
It pitches to Force of Will.
Right. It goes back to that argument.
So Brent Cohen, what does a Mud deck do out of its sideboard?
Well, he has almost all artifacts or spells that don't require colored mana. He has Tormod's Crypts, Mindbreak Traps, Welders, Metamorphs, Phyrexian Revokers, Surgical Extractions, and another Wormcoil. The only slam dunk I see here is 2 Phyrexian Revoker.
I like the Revoker we're saying for the equipment. I think Wormcoil is another slam dunk, actually. Lodestone Golem, well, Disruptive. I mean, that card probably stays in. There's interesting. Really... I guess with what you'd side out, he has his lock pieces, which are Chalice of the Void, Grim Monolith, and Trinosphere. It's possible that if he likes his main deck, Wormcoil does not come in.
Yeah, I think Brent could side out something like the Forge Master. Josh Hendricks has Chrome Mox. He has 1-mana spells. Sorry, not the Forge Master, the Lodestone Golem. The extra 1-mana ability is really not that strong. I would definitely cut at least one for a Wormcoil and something for the Revokers. I'm not sure if it's the Golem, but Revoker has to come in. It just has to. It's too good not to. He plays the Stoneforge Mystic, fetches Batterskull, boom, you gain Batterskull. And that buys you at least a few turns.
Right.
So Brent Cohen will be on the play for this game too. He lost game 1, but he's going to try and
always kind of exciting out of the mud deck just to see what they can churn out turn 1. Chalice, it's interesting. I'm questioning how good Chalice is here. I think Chalice on 2 or 1 are probably the ideal plays. 2 may be better than 1.
I think 2 is better than 1, but the problem is getting to 4 mana in a timely fashion.
Right.
Not all Brent Cohen's hands can do that.
Right, so the first Chalice goes on 1 and the second one goes on 2, because remember, you can't do them in the opposite order.
Right. Brent Cohen does not look happy with this hand. Looked up at the ceiling, looking for guidance here. Does he want to keep? I think he wants to. I don't think he should.
Okay, turn 1, Ancient Tomb, go. It's a little, okay, hey, he didn't have a turn 1 crazy play, and then you kind of think, okay, well, what is he doing?
Right, it looks like he does have a Metalworker, though.
Right, turn 1 off. Hendricks, you see a fetch land. No reason not to get scrub land. He's going to get swamped. Sorry, there are 4 wastelands in the mud deck.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't know it's in Brent Cohen's hand, but I'm not sure I like the keep. I think you might have to go in search of a Chalice versus the Swords to Plowshares Thoughtseize deck.
Right.
And this is why.
Alright, let's see. What does he have? He has Metalworker, City, Forge Master, land. So the problem is that, the hand doesn't really do anything. It's playing... Yeah, the hand doesn't do much.
This is a bad hand. I think Brent Cohen should have mulliganed it, but...
It has no disruption elements. When you aren't disrupting with your deck, your deck's just not that good.
Right, unless you can explode, it's really not strong. And yeah, Brent Cohen, it is tough to mulligan with a deck like this because there are so many hands that don't do much as well. Like going to 6 and getting that same hand is really rough, but
yeah,
the upside is so high.
Well, yeah, Cohen has very few plays at this point. So on his turn, he's going to... I don't know if he makes City of Traders just yet.
Yeah, I think it depends what he drew.
Alright, taking 2 damage. He drew something that he can cast, so it's probably then he should cast it. He drew Chalice, and he's going to go Chalice on 2.
Wow, now that is a great draw.
It's a great draw.
That shuts off a ton of creatures in Josh Hendricks' deck.
Right, and Josh Hendricks with 2 Oblivion Rings is the only ways to remove it.
Right now, for creatures, Josh Hendricks has Hero of Bladehold and Mirren Crusader left. And, of course, Deathrite Shaman.
So we do get to see Forge Master come down here. It'll be float mana, make a land drop. Yeah, taking 4, so he goes to 16. He's going to have to make a land, make another City of Traders. So you draw something that costs 6. Wormcoil Engine, a great pair of draws for Brent Cohen. Getting rewarded for, I think, what was probably a little loose of a keep. Josh Hendricks has drawn Pithing Needle.
And yeah, this is the problem with Pithing Needle. You can't name Wormcoil Engine.
Wow, what a turnaround here.
Yeah, from Koldath the Forge Master, 3 land to 2 turns later, Chalice on 2, Wormcoil Engine in play.
Yeah, Hendricks probably a little tilted here.
I would be. But, again, that's why you play the Mutt deck. It has these explosive turns, and if you can't deal with it, sometimes it just wins.
I believe he's drawn another Wormcoil Engine.
That's not bad.
That's disgusting. So that's correct. All right. So 6 takes Hendricks down to 11 and 22. I don't know if he can cast the next Wormcoil Engine. Taking 2 damage. 4 mana, 5 mana. We'll see Forge Master come up.
Yep, and that will almost definitely just be a 3/5 attacker. It'll do its best Siege Mastodon impersonation. Brent Cohen does not want to sack any of those cards.
Well, the problem here is he's going to threaten to end step Blightsteel, which Hendricks has to be aware that play exists in his deck.
Right.
Making 2 more Souls tokens, he has plenty of chump blockers.
Yep, he can buy some time, but the problem is there's not much for him to draw into with that Chalice on 2.
Right. Alright, he has Spirit tokens. And he will Pithing Needle to kill the Forge Master.
Yep, just in case.
Just to turn it into a Siege Mastodon.
Yep, which is still fine right now.
Sure.
Josh Hendricks, 3 Dark Confidants in his hand. So pretty ugly.
Just that Chalice was really brutal. So yep, Wormcoil attacks. Going to gain 6 from Cohen. Hendricks will take 3 off the Forge Master. Cohen down to 24. He did gain life there. Grim Monolith past the turn.
Yep, Brent Cohen out of
and
lands.
It's countered.
Oh.
So Hendricks just points out that the Chalice of the Void does counter Grim Monolith.
Yeah, and you know, I don't know why that's such an easy mistake to make, but
well, you
people
generally
do that
think that
all
the
the
card
time.
just counters your opponent's stuff. You
Right.
know? That's what you wanted it for. You don't.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a fairly common mistake.
So
One of
Mirren
little
Crusader.
consequence on this board.
Yeah. So Mirren Crusader for Josh Hendricks. He now can represent 6 power. He can block down that Wormcoil in combat if he wants to, but that's really not a winning proposition for
I mean, he
him.
probably has to. Okay, anyway, he's going to chump. He's looking to get enough Mirren Crusaders in play that he can, if he can just draw. He only has 2 Mirren Crusaders.
Yeah, I think Josh Hendricks looking for a sword swords right now, and there it is.
There we go.
So he's not out of this game yet. The Siege Mastodon and the Mirren are going to stare at each other for a while. But I think Brent Cohen's deck has a lot more live draws in it than Josh's does.
Well, he has, 3 more Wormcoil engines. But with actually, not too many more threatening draws. As a Metamorph, a Karn,
A Spine.
a Spine. I mean, he only has about 8 live draws here. Anyway, he's going to Swords to Plowshares. Interestingly enough, I don't know if I would have attacked the Crusader that previous turn. Were the Crusader here on the blocks, he could have killed Kulotha Forge Master and traded it for the Spirit token.
Right.
Brent Cohen down to 30 for a Metalworker. He now will have all the mana he wants for the rest of the game.
And Josh Hendricks will try and draw. Oh, wow.
Oblivion Ring. He
What a
needs to
draw.
be careful with that, not to burn it before he absolutely has to. Yeah, maybe I think it's
Dark
starting to
Confidant
realize
not even
here.
that good right now, actually. Josh
Well,
Hendricks,
Hendricks
at 8
is
life.
at 8, yeah.
Yeah.
It's for certain it's not very good. It's okay that those guys just get thrown into the Chalice.
Right. So Josh Hendricks going to continue his beat down. Brent Cohen down to 26. As it stands right now, though, Brent Cohen winning this race. Heck, even if he attacks with that Metalworker, that's a 2-turn clock.
Alright, so we have on Hendricks' side of the board. Basically, both of them in a staring match with each other.
Yeah, it's the old Siege Mastodon versus 2/2 double strike board.
Right, 4 4s versus 3 5s. No one wins.
Not even the viewers. So we'll see what Josh Hendricks ends up with here. What is he going to O-ring?
Going to Oblivion Ring the Metalworker. That may be a little presumptive. The thing is that you aren't actually pushing damage yet. That doesn't get you through. He has to worry that there might be like a Wormcoil engine waiting.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
you're gonna want the Oblivion Ring if that happens. All right, so yeah, Forge Master is going to put Hendricks down to 5. Yeah, it's just a race I don't really like here. I feel like he's not really winning it.
No,
Hendricks is fine with this race. Sure, he's perfectly content doing so.
I mean, Brent, not even under 20 life yet.
Lingering Souls again. I mean, I don't. And
if
both
he knew his
halves.
top card was going to be Lingering Soul, that is a very good play.
Yeah, and funny enough, even though it's 2 mana on the flashback, you can flash it back because it still has converted mana cost 3. It's one of those more peculiar situations.
Right. So now Josh Hendricks has so many 2-drops in his deck, but somehow just not drawing any of them, drawing all the 3s.
Yeah. He untaps the Forge Master for him. I mean, the thing is that Cohen, it's not like Cohen has no more cards off his deck. He draws Wasteland. He has two left sets of lightning greaves.
He has a worm coil in hand too. He is not out of this game.
Right.
Any 2-mana land and Brent Cohen is in business.
He has plenty of life points to work with. Well, I mean, not plenty, I suppose.
He has enough.
I'm almost thinking I would like to make, if were Brett Cohen, I'd make the lightning greaves right about now. The reason being that if he draws a City of Traders, he'll want to worm coil as soon as possible.
Yeah, but he has a Chalice of the Void in play.
Oh, just kidding. There's a Chalice in play. Oh,
that painful Chalice.
So clearly, like Brent Cohen, I would be throwing my own spells into the Chalice of the Void.
Trinosphere drawn by Brent Cohen. All he can do is say go.
Well, Trinosphere might be a fine play. I'm not sure if it's a bad play. It doesn't really matter.
I don't know if it's worth the 2 life.
Is that a Liliana? That's going to edict away the Forge Master. It's going to be very strong.
And apparently Josh Hendricks showing us how to beat Mud. You just play a ton of 3-drops.
Yeah, and
might not work so well against Delver.
Just have a well-timed Swords. It seems like pretty much what this match has come down to.
Yeah.
So, and conveniently, Josh Hendricks has exactly 9 damage here. He's only going to swing 8 of it. Okay, so that will give Brent Cohen an extra turn.
Right. The thing about that, though, it's not really that big of a deal because Brent Cohen, if he wants to cast a spell, he has to tap Ancient Tomb. So.
Right.
Yeah, and Brent Cohen
That's actually very wise.
Had 2 fortunate draws at the beginning of this game, Worm Coil into Chalice, but I think Josh Hendricks beats him in that respect.
Right. So we see another Lingering Souls. Yeah, Josh Hendricks looking like he's going to become one of our 4 remaining undefeated players. You know, once again, like, you can play decks that are off the beaten path. Yesterday, just falling short of top 8. You know, today, looking like a strong candidate to be making it into our top 8.
Yeah, he's about to move to 5-0 right now. Pretty exciting to see this Dead Guy Ale deck.
Dropping Cohen to 2. And he'll cast 4 more Lingering Souls.
Why not?
Yeah, sure. Still had all these. The card's so powerful. So many 1/1s.
And now Brent Cohen gets 1 more draw.
Yeah.
Let's see what he can do with it.
Liliana will make him discard the Lightning Greaves, and that should be an extension. All right, Josh Hendricks defeats Brent Cohen 2-0. Moving up to the 5-0 bracket, Brent Cohen moves down to 4-1. It's an 8-round tournament. Most players, based on the number of players in it, a fair number, a non-zero number of 6-1s should be able to draw into top 8. So depending on where Cohen is in the standings, he may have to win 2 or possibly 3 more wins to put himself into the top 8. For Hendricks, it's only 1.